Hi there, this is the weekly forecast for March 31st through April 6th of 2019. Right on Sunday the 31st, Mars will have just ingressed into Gemini. So Mars moved into Gemini, left Taurus, moved into Gemini on the 30th, that Saturday, and now on Sunday will be firmly in Gemini. So Mars moving from Taurus into Gemini is a particularly noticeable shift. We have Mars going into the sign of its detriment in a Venus-ruled sign that prefers slow, methodical, thorough work that may not be as conducive to Mars's innate significations, moving into Gemini into a Mercury-ruled sign. Whenever a planet ingresses into a new sign, we can think of that filter of the sign playing out through whatever planet rules that sign. So Mars is going into Gemini, a Mercury-ruled sign. In the home of Mercury, we can think of Mars, the planet of action and deliberate, focused assertion, going through more of a communicative, intellectual, fast-paced, quick-witted, light-hearted lens. There'll be more buzzing, more talkative, more energy that's interested in throwing around ideas and of meeting with other people in a more intellectual, less thorough way. Definitely going to be a good transit for brainstorming if you've been needing to think of ideas about things, or if you've been needing to get some mental balls rolling. I know Mars and Taurus make us feel particularly complacent or languid and lethargic in the mental idea creativity sphere. Mars in Gemini is a great transit for actually being able to open up that mental part of ourselves. The risk is of being flaky or diluting our focus and our attention in too many different routes. So with Mars in Gemini, take advantage of the intellectual stimulation and the ideas that are going to be thrown around with others especially. Be wary of being flaky or of spreading yourself too thin across multiple projects. Monday, April 1st, we'll have a moon in Pisces, and the moon in Pisces will square that early Mars in Gemini in the morning, so that morning could leave you feeling irritated. Could also be a great opportunity to get something done. There could be some drive, some energy there to get past some sort of frustration. Just be aware that that morning might have some frustration or tension behind it. But right after that square to Mars, it will sextile Uranus and Taurus. So there's the opportunity to make innovative change. Sextiles are aspects of opportunity because it's an opportunity for creativity between two compatible yet different energies of the signs. So with moon sextile to Uranus, there is an opportunity to be more innovative or be more open to change in our actions. That night on the 1st as well, there will be a moon-Venus conjunction in Pisces. And Venus is exalted in Pisces, so this is really nice for the moon to be able to have Venus, who is especially prominent in a night chart, at her full significations of ease and of harmony that she can bring. So that night will be a great night because it'll bring some dreamy, comforting, relaxing energy, really letting go of anxiety that Moon Uranus, even in the positive aspects, can bring, and especially Moon Mars early in the morning probably has left us a bit worn out. So that night with the moon meeting Venus, it's great for anything artistic or creative or even spiritual in the sign of Pisces. There is an ability to access things that we may have hidden from ourselves or might not have the comfort level to address. There's more access to more creative, inspired energy. There's also more chance of being inspired by the beauty around us with the moon-Venus conjunction. Tuesday the 2nd, Mercury will conjunct Neptune in Pisces, so be wary of any hazy facts, whether they're fake news or just not all the right news. Being disillusioned or disillusioning ourselves, Mercury, Neptune can just indicate this layer of deception, or it can be really dreamy and beautiful. So it's a good day for inspired language, for artful communication in any way. It's not a great day for any tasks that require really linear, straightforward thinking, because we probably don't have our heads screwed on all the way, and that might be a great thing if you're doing something interpretive or something more intuitive. But if you're trying to get something done that really requires straightforward honesty or deliberation, Tuesday's probably not your day. Moon will also conjunct Mercury and Neptune that night, so definitely we're all absorbed in this dreamy thought, brainstorming from a place of inspiration. And this really goes to represent, with Moon, Mercury, and Neptune all together, the union of mind and intuition. That can be really beautiful, and it can also be really muddy depending on how open you are to not attaching to necessarily one thought pattern or another. Again, it's another opportunity, especially for escapism or it can be another opportunity to tap into creativity. Wednesday the 3rd, the moon will still be in Pisces, but it'll be giving a sextile to Pluto in Capricorn, so that's really grounding our focus. It's really allowing us to pursue our goals in a more intense yet more understood, straightforward manner. It really grounds that Pisces energy and adds some depth to otherwise kind of watery waveriness. There'll also be a moon Jupiter square, but Jupiter will be overcoming the moon in a superior square. So even though squares are typically aspects of tension, when it's a Jupiter square and Jupiter is in the earlier position of zodiacal order, it's said to be overcoming the other planet. And it's actually a state of bonification. It's a really good thing when Jupiter overcomes through superior squares. Of course, there's downsides to every transit, but overall, Jupiter squares are really positive, especially when Jupiter is in that superior position. So with Jupiter in Sagittarius, it'll be overcoming that moon in Pisces. And this can really bring a surge of optimism, emotional exuberance, an air of being able to go after what it is we want because there's so many opportunities. It's important to harness it in the moment, but not make overly large promises about situations where you know that this energy may not continue on with you, so don't overpromise. Thursday the 4th, we'll have Pluto conjunct the South Node in Capricorn, and this could potentially bring a collective feeling of like emotional hardening or like the life is being sucked out of us. I don't mean to sound scary, but it reminds me of the Dementors in Harry Potter. It's not necessarily that they're like Harry's being killed by the Dementor, but his life energy, almost like his prana, is being just sucked out of him. But we can prevent this like emotional calcification if we're willing to let go of what needs to die for us to be reborn emotionally. I know that sounds dramatic and intense, but that is Pluto on the South Node. It's a karmic emotional clean out. It's calling to totally let go of those really intense, deep patternings of self-sabotage and control that do not serve you in any way but keep you feeling safe. The South Node diffuses, so if you're not willing to let go, there may not be another chance for the portal to be so open for you to do so. You may be more ingrained to these patterns. There is that chance, though, to become so aware of the patterns that you are holding on to that you can then let go of them. So don't hold on and try to calcify to things that aren't working, because I mean that is the definition of insanity, like trying to do the same thing over and over, trying to get different results. Take charge and reemerge anew, no matter how like raw or painful that feels, in whatever situation and whatever house Pluto is in for you, which would relate to the situation that I'm talking about in your life. Friday the 5th, there is a beautiful new moon in Aries, and this is ruled by Mars in Gemini because Aries is ruled by Mars, so we then look to Mars as the dispositor of where to begin analyzing this new moon. And with it, Mars in Gemini, we're driven by this surge of new mental ideas to push us forward. It'll be square Saturn and Capricorn, so we may feel held back by time. We may feel as if time has gotten the best of us and that Mars and Taurus really took up a lot of our time and now we're racing against the clock here. Mars in Gemini wants to move forward really quickly and possibly really shallowly, not getting too drawn up in anything, but Saturn in Capricorn really demands careful foresight and thought with everything. So use the Aries courage to be mature and stable about the steps that you're taking. Don't use that Aries impulsivity or childishness potentially. Take the more brave aspects and couple them with Saturn's capacity to withstand. You could also feel creatively stifled. You could feel as if rationality is kind of hitting down on some type of more free-spirited nature of you. But don't be too hard on yourself for feeling behind. It's kind of an energy in the air right now of feeling rushed, feeling like we've let something get past us. But these past few weeks with that Mercury retrograde and Mars and Taurus have been a lot of looking back so that we can move forward. So just because we haven't been moving forward doesn't mean that now we need to rush and not make the most of our time. It's better to work smarter, not necessarily work harder. Even though Mars and Gemini, I wouldn't say is one necessarily to work hard as much as work quickly. Still, working quickly is not necessarily working smarter. And this will be conjunct the South Node, that Saturn is on the South Node. So there may be old patterns of feeling out of time that keep you from pursuing things because you feel like, oh, I'm out of time, I can't do that. No, cut that shit out. Like, you do have time. There's never a late point. There's never not enough left. There is that Aries spark of just like pure infantile inspiration that we all have, and Saturn is really testing us to tune back into it. New moons are always times to plant seeds. What seeds can you plant to redirect energy from running away into powering through? Saturday the 6th is also a pretty charged day just because the moon in Taurus will be conjunct Uranus. And it's interesting with Uranus in Taurus because the moon is exalted in Taurus. Planets are exalted in signs that their rationale and understanding is that they do the best in. Hypothetically, in terms of the planet significations and the sign significations, they operate the best in these signs. And the moon does really well in Taurus generally because there is the stability and dependability that the moon's tides can really grasp and comfort itself with. But with Uranus and Taurus, whenever the moon is in Taurus, it's contacting Uranus, which is this electrifying, sporadic, really unpredictable energy. So it's an interesting wrench into the mix. So the moon's stability is definitely challenged by this inner drive for change and for emotional unpredictability. There's this chance for stubborn defiance with Uranus and Taurus and the moon there, or a firm dedication towards self-development. We can use that moon and Taurus stability and groundedness into forever committing ourselves to an internal change. And with the moon in Taurus on Saturday, let yourself be inspired for self-development, not overwhelmed with anxiety about possibility. The Mercury-Saturn sextile on Saturday too does stabilize our mind a bit amidst this emotional disruption. So do maybe pay attention more to your thoughts on Saturday and really take note of what rational game plans come up for you to deal with the changes that you need to make. So this week has the energy spiking up so much, going from Mars in Taurus to Mars in Gemini, really picking up the pace and lightening the mood, into that new moon in Aries, which is really challenging us to stop playing small and being afraid to work hard because we're making excuses for ourselves or have these self-limiting beliefs. It's time to cut the crap and really let that go with Pluto on the South Node. There's no better time to let go of the hardest shit to let go of. So I hope this was helpful. I do private consultations at the link below. Like, subscribe, do all the things, and I will see you soon.